welcome back to Emotional Mojo. Our next guest is an Ivy League educated linebacker who played 14 seasons with the Cincinnati Bengals, led them to 2 Super Bowls, won NFL Man of the Year, the Humanitarian Service Award, and the Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year. But now he is working toward his biggest personal accomplishment yet, runner. Interesting, right? We would love to welcome former Cincinnati Bengal linebacker, Mr. Reggie Williams. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Michelle Tara. I'm so pleased to be here on Emotional Mojo. What a great show about inspiring so many people to do so many better things in their future. So running seems, you know, pretty mundane. I've run all my life as an athlete, but I've not been able to run for 10 years because of the 24 right knee surgeries I've had to try to maintain the use of my right leg. I've had 3 knee replacements. I've had a double gastroc flap. I even had a pseudoaneurysm, which is where an artery bursts through the skin and you have to have an embolization to close it. All of this because running, while it may seem simple, I've been so inspired by so many coaches, teammates, my parents, and of course God, to keep us all compelled to continue to strive for things that inspire not only ourselves, but inspiring ourselves, we can inspire others.
Well, and not only that, these are things that doctors didn't think you could do. I mean, they wanted to amputate your leg. Are you okay with us showing your knee to everyone and why this is such a big deal? Because you've been, you know, sharing this story with people.
Well, this is not the most beautiful knee you're going to see on TV. Those are 2 beautiful knees that you're going to see on TV, but as you can see,
you literally don't have a knee. Well, look at how flexible he is. Let's just talk about that for 1 second.
Well, my flexibility is a big part that I'm able to do this, but there used to be a hole because there's all the way through my knee because they had to move my gastrocs and flap them up here. The pseudoaneurysm was shooting through here. And so there is a prosthetic from here to here that's connected on a joint. There wasn't enough room to put my kneecap back in. So the goal to run is because someone said it's impossible to run.
Can you tell people what happened, how you got to this point?
Played 14 years in the NFL. Played on one of the worst surfaces in NFL history, Riverfront Stadium. So glad it's replaced now with Paul Brown Stadium. That's where I'm hoping to run. But in the course of playing those years, you have a lot of injuries. I was the first player to come back from microfracture surgery after the 1986 season and came back in 1 year. So now microfracture surgery is very common. All weekend athletes can do it to improve their quality of life. But back then, it wasn't even called that. It was called an abrasion. And so pain, which was something that was part of the normalcy of playing the NFL in the 70s and 80s, now has been sort of taken over by the great medical progress and surgical technology that's helping improve life. My first surgery, just for a cartilage tear, they had to open the whole knee up. And now they can just go in and arthroscopically repair and just keep as much of your cartilage still in your body.
Well, I don't think people realize what professional athletes really go through, especially football, basketball. I mean, some of these that are such repetitive motions and the pressure to get back to the game as soon as possible sometimes does lead to lifelong injuries and consequences.
And it's kind of like you're done, you're off the team, you know, you did what we hired you for, bye-bye. I mean, I think that tide is turning.
Well, I think that's part of the Emotional Mojo messages that we're all connected to each other. So when you're playing a professional sport, especially as intense as brutal as football, and you have 10 other guys in the huddle who also are hurt, who are also fatigued, and we're down, and we've got 60, 70,000 fans screaming for us to give a little bit more. You know, you will put your body at the end of the line to throw it in front of harm's way. And that's what the community caring about each other is all about. And that's why the concept that you were talking about earlier of forgiveness is important. Because in team sports, there's no perfection. You have teammates. We ourselves make mistakes.
Only as good as your worst player, right?
That's right, but you have to forgive in the huddle to engage everyone to collectively do better on the next play. You can't be harboring. You know, you dropped that ball. You missed that tackle.
That's going to distract you from what comes next.
Forgiving your teammates allows you together have more chance for success in the future.
You are like, I want to like storm the field right now. You're like a totally motivational speaker.
Speaking of storming the field,
yes, let's talk about
that's what this goal is, right? So that you can lead. I mean, let's just point out, I'm a Packer fan. But, so I've had my years of downs. I've had my years of highs, but the Bengals, it's been quite a few years since they've had
23 years. Yeah.
A good season. So your goal is to help motivate them by hoping to run
Cincinnati
again.
Bengal fans have got to be the most diehard in the league. As you mentioned, they've been the longest starving fans for a playoff victory. I played on the last Super Bowl team for the Bengals. In fact, in their only 2 Super Bowls. And I feel their pain too.
Yes.
And I felt that, you know, the issue of amputation that you talked about earlier, or walking, is a different scenario if you're talking about walking or running. Yeah. Doing something impossible, to take the decision making out of the worst case scenario and put it into a better case scenario. So, reporter Paul Doherty from the Cincinnati Enquirer wrote a couple great stories. Did a follow-up, asked me, how I'm doing after a year, and I said, not only am I doing better after his inspiration article, but now I've upped the stakes to wanting to run. He said, wow, where do you want to run? I said, wow, Paul Brown Stadium. He asked Mike Brown, the owner, if it was allowed or possible, and Mike Brown graciously said yes.
I cannot wait to see you. You can totally do this, and I can't wait to
I can't do it today, but I plan on doing it by then.
It's gonna happen. I'd love your opinion on this, because we all just witnessed a freak sports accident play out on the basketball court a few weeks ago when Paul George suffered a compound fracture during the Team USA game. What advice do you have for him or anyone who suffers a major injury about the mental battle during recovery?
Well, he's gonna have to be patient. I mean, initially there are things that a great athlete like Paul George, who's used to being able to use his leg as an extension of his brain, he's going to have a disconnect. And the one thing that I will give him great confidence that there's so many doctors that are doing so many great things, and he's not the first with this injury. So many people have already proven that they can overcome it in the past, which is different from my situation. So trust his doctor. Make sure he maintains a infection-free environment. Okay?
Yeah, because you've had your share of infections, right?
Flesh-eating bacteria, right?
Osteomyelitis was what was eating away my bone. That's why my right leg is 2 5/8 inches shorter, because it ate through the femur like termites.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, amazing. Our show is all about inspiration, obviously. You've been through a lot, but you're such a positive, you just radiate this positive energy. I'd love to know where you get your motivation, because there are a lot of people who fall on hard times, sports or not, whatever the reason. But how do you keep a positive mindset? It's kind of hard to do when nothing seems to be going your way.
Well, the fuel has always been for me trying to support community and being a strong part of the community. My parents instilled the love of reading in earlier, but all of that amounts to, whatever you believe in, you have to realize there's something bigger than all of us. And something that drives the universe towards good, or unfortunately in its opposite direction. I believe that's God. Whatever you want to call him, there's a force in our lives that can make us even more empowered, do the impossible, which really is the most inspiring aspect of motivating ourselves and others to make it a better tomorrow.
It's not all about us. There is more to it. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for giving the time to run, Reggie, run.
Put that on.
We're trying to support Team Diaz for the local Alzheimer's Walk on October 18th. So any of you that really recognize that it's our brain that drives all our motivation, please join Team Diaz in the Alzheimer's Walk.
Thank you so much. You're amazing. We're so happy to have you. We'll be right back, you guys.